the adverts for the scholarships online, and just going through them, I kind of, my eye got caught on the Leonardo AW139 rating, and it looked interesting. And I just kind of just thought, okay, maybe I can just apply and see where that goes. And I'm here today. I'm excited. I'm happy. I managed to do the training and completed it. And it's been an amazing experience.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what was that like? What was the training like? How long did it take? And, what was different for you with it?
So I have been flying a single engine helicopter, the Bell 206, and it's a single pilot environment. And coming to do the 139, which is a twin engine, it's multi-crew. It was a big jump for me because the environments obviously are different. But the experience of coming to Leonardo, the Leonardo Academy in Philadelphia, well, that's the one I can speak to, is one amazing institution. The training is so detailed. The instructors are knowledgeable. The environment is very welcoming, and you just know you are in very good hands. And I mean, they know their stuff. They teach you the aircrafts. They get you to do what you need to do. And I came to the United States, which was the first time I had ever been out of Africa, and my first time, obviously, in America, on the 23rd of April, and started our training on the 24th. And right from the
your training the next day after a long trip like that?
Yeah, because I didn't know anything about jet lag.
Oh, I bet you found out.
I did. It was. Oh yeah. And my body took the beating. I mean, I felt like the world was spinning on me. But the instructors were very kind. They were patient because obviously being jet lagged and just not being on that multi-engine platform before, it took a bit of time for me to catch up. And my ground instructor, Raphael, was amazing. He was so patient. He would ask if I was following with the rest of the class. And it was just, it's beyond explanation how this whole training was structured and how the lessons themselves are so, they give so much attention to the level of your knowledge so that they bring you up to speed with what they need you to do in that aircraft. And I'm happy. I did the training and finished on the 19th of May. Yeah, I did my check ride on the AW139. Yeah, and they have. I had never been in a simulator before, so it was a whole learning curve for me. It's been amazing.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Before I move on, I do have to ask you, what do you like about that aircraft the most? That's really a Mike question. He would ask that too.
I love the power of that machine. It's like it's endless.
It is powerful. Yeah,
it's a powerful machine. Coming from the 206 and the 139, you kind of feel like we can go on forever. But yeah, the power just does it for me.
Yeah. Adele, how about you? Tell us a little bit about your background and how this all came about for you. You've been flying the Sikorsky and things like that. So how did this come about that you get your type rating in the 139?
Yeah, I was really excited for the opportunity. Kind of been looking for the next step in my career. And I've been a Whirly-Girl since probably about the same time. I think it was 2012 or 2013 that I joined. And same thing, saw the scholarship pop up, and of course just thought it would never go to me. It's just kind of that imposter thing. You think somebody else will get it. And I just remember Fallon calling. Well, first she sent an email Christmas Eve, and just to check my contact information, I was like, oh, she's definitely not reaching out on Christmas Eve to say there's a problem with my application. So heart started pounding, and finally we were able to connect over the phone. It was midnight in Kenya. So it was late. I'd had my head on the pillow, and I was like, this is a phone call I'm not going to miss. So we finally had the conversation, burst into tears at work, and yeah, ready to see what this brings. It just opens the door to so many other opportunities. And like Liz said, the training at Leonardo is next level. Like, they just elevate you to just become a leader in the industry. So hopefully all of us, we can just move forward and make the most of these scholarships.
Yeah, absolutely. Sara, how about you? You and did I have that right? I'm trying to remember. Well, you, Sara, tell us a little bit about you. You're now with you tell us who you're with. Looking at my notes and multitasking here.
I just recently, since the fall, relocated to the
Heli
Northeast.
flight. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Which was initially flying tours with Charm City Aviation, out of the Wall Street heliport and out of New Jersey. And then that progressed into a job at Heliflight just in the last few months after completing the 139 training in February. So I went through the S76, the Sikorsky 76 initial in March, and started at Heliflight at the end of March.
And that's what I was thinking, that I was getting you mixed up with Adele on the S76 and who was flying what. But anyhow, the Sikorsky. For you, big difference between flying a Sikorsky S76 and flying the AW139?
I would say my experiences altogether in the last few months are very unique, because I went from flying the MD 500 to the 139 to the 76 instead of the opposite of that. So basically flying a helicopter with 6 switches altogether, one like the 139, and sorry for the noise, and then the 76 at Heliflight.
Yeah. So I one of the things that's kind of special about this type of a scholarship is this is a kind of, I call it an advanced training scholarship, because you're getting a specific type rating. So it's kind of unique versus starting out with, primary lessons in learning to fly a helicopter. Can you guys tell us about that and how you felt about an organization or a company like Leonardo and the 2 organizations, Whirly-Girls and Eastern, providing that opportunity and what that means for you for your career? Anybody can chime in.
Yeah, there's a lot of intermingling here, because while I didn't receive the 139 training traditionally through, or what would be a Whirly-Girl scholarship, and much more so essentially a raffle that Blair provides through the Eastern Region Helicopter Council, as well as a few other key people that have held that in the past. And then serving on the board of the Whirly-Girls, while I've received Whirly-Girls scholarships in the past, that progressed into serving on the board as a function of supporting Fallon's role on that board. Yeah.
Blair, you have one heck of a background in flying. Several of you do, but Blair, you've seemed like you've been flying forever. Blair, give us some perspective from a career standpoint. Tell us a little bit about your background, which I believe started in the Army as far as flying, and how that has evolved and progressed, and what type of insight you can give to somebody that may be thinking, yeah, I think I want to fly helicopters.
Right. Thanks, Vince. Pleasure to be here. Yeah, I started in 1988, so I am dating myself for sure.
Dag. No, I'm just kidding.
I know, almost old as you, right?
Oh, nice. I forgot how quick you were. Yeah.
So about 11 years active Army, flying Hueys and Blackhawks. So I can appreciate what Fallon says when she says it's nice to get back in the Hawk, because you talk about a powerful helicopter. The Black Hawk UH-60 is probably one of the most powerful I've flown. And then out into college and then into the National Guard, both in Oklahoma and in Maryland, where I became an instructor pilot there in Aberdeen. And I was told I'd never get a dual engine transition, and I probably would never be able to get a civilian job. And so I just started looking and started beating the bush, and lo and behold, a couple rabbits ran out and I got a hold of one. And my first job was with Rocky Mountain Helicopters here in Delaware. And from there it went to a corporate gig, and then that disappeared after a mishap, and Bank of America bought them. And then back to PHI, Petroleum Helicopters, for 7 years as a air ambulance captain there, which, you know, you love that, but you want to move on into the corporate realm, which is New York City. So I did. I obtained a position at Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, and they say nobody leaves Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. Once you get a gig like that, that's a lifetime gig. So I stayed there for 6 months and left. So
let me go back and ask you something though. You said that you were told that you would never be a civilian pilot.
Yeah,
or
there
be
was
able to fly in the civilian world.
Sure, there's a lot of naysayers out there, and you know, listen, I'm a white guy, so it's a lot easier for me. I mean,
Thank you for sharing that with us, Blair.
Yeah, you could see it. You could see it, right? It's pretty visible. I get it, but we don't have the perspective that the people of color and minority women have, and they have an uphill battle. I feel like I had an uphill battle as well, but as a white man in the 95% industry, that, you know, we are the 95%, and the women and minorities are the 5%. I can't even begin to imagine what obstacles they have faced, even though I feel like I have faced some obstacles as well. And I was told, yeah, you'll never get the dual engine transition, and you probably will never get a civilian job. So there are naysayers out there, and these ladies know it. They've heard the same things or worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So you decided corporate was a way for you to go, and you're doing that with the executive jet management. Why corporate over some of the other experiences you had? You did fly kind of a Medivac, you said, and things like that. What is it that attracts you to being a corporate pilot or flying in the corporate?
The air ambulance is fun in the beginning, but when the tones go off at 3 a.m. in the morning, you become weary, and you look at the corporate flying in the Northeast. It's probably some of the most complex airspace in the United States. Actually, it's probably the most complex airspace in the world. So it's a huge challenge to move around IFR, VFR. There's routes up there. It's complex. It's very challenging. Even now, I mean, we've been fighting the IFR battle in the Northeast since the 70s, and we still have it. It's an ongoing battle. So we're continuing to fight that battle. So the complexity of the airspace, of course, you know, it's attractive because it's better pay, and, you know, the companies that you work for are much nicer. So, but the airspace is great.
Yeah. So it has to be said, I'm a fixed wing guy, but I'm a helicopter nut. Now it doesn't make any sense, but because I've been flying fixed wing since I was a teenager, but I just love helicopters. I want to put this out to each one of you. Why do you fly a helicopter? Why'd you want to fly a helicopter? And along with that, why is it so enjoyable? Because all of you are passionate, need I say, badass helicopter pilots who really love flying helicopters. So what's the attraction for you guys?
Freedom.
Freedom.
I feel like, yeah. I know it's kind of cliche, but for me anyway, it's obviously there's a lot of restrictions in aviation in general, but some of the places you get to see in the world, you'll never see another way because only helicopters can get there. I liken it to galloping on the back of a horse. Like you just can be just absolutely enraptured in the moment. And I don't know, there's nothing else really that captures that feeling. Been in planes, done other things, but helis and horses is about it.
Anybody else?
Well, I really think it's like it's a personality thing. My background is similar to Blair's. I started in the military, started in helicopters. And when I was leaving the military, I was told the same thing. There's no way you're going to get a civilian job. And
who told you that?
A lot of people in the military will tell you that.
I'm sure we've all heard that somewhere.
Yeah. But they're like, you'll never get a civilian job in helicopters. It's impossible. And I'm just slightly younger than Blair. So I was getting out of the military when there's, and it's still going on, a big push to do the kind of rotor to fixed wing transitions with the airlines, because of course they have a pilot shortage there as well. So instead of doing that, I decided to go get my fixed wing ratings on the side to see if I liked flying airplanes. And while I valued that time and, having those licenses and a little bit of freedom.
It was okay, but it still wasn't the same as helicopter, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I'm really glad that I went and tried it out. I have lots of friends, who went into the fixed wing industry and they're happy there. But for me personally, it just didn't suit my personality.
As a badass.
I think for me, it's the flexibility. Like Adele was saying about how you get to see a different perspective, and I'm a helicopter girl. I've not flown fixed wings at all, but I love helicopters because somehow in my heart I feel as if helicopters have this rhythm to them. They have kind of like a heartbeat of their own. And the fact that they give you this flexibility, you get to be home every night for me. And also they just give you this power. They give you this feeling of being in control, in charge. Yeah. I don't know if fixed wing guys feel the same, but yeah, for me, that's what does it for me.
We do, but go ahead.
I'll add quickly, mostly for the audience you're saying is likely listening to this. Fallon and Mike have probably read several thousand essays and applications that started with the exact same line, including my own. I wanted to fly airplanes my entire life growing up, and we all did. And then when I got to that point of finally deciding I'd switch to aviation at about 25, I just, for the personality reasons Fallon touched on and lifestyle, you do one helicopter flight and you're not going to be bored.
Right.
Yeah. Blair, how about you?
It's just similar. It's 8 hours in a tube, flying at 35,000 feet is not attractive to me. But you give me a 15-minute nap of the earth flight to do something fun, or fly by the Statue of Liberty on a regular basis. I've been flying here for 15 years, and flying into Manhattan, New York City, there's no other experience like it. It just never gets old. And it's 25-minute flights, and something's always happening. You're always busy. You're always talking to somebody, and it is an exciting lifestyle.
Wow. Well, you guys make me want to go fly in New York and everything else. Mike, you has a bug bitten you at all yet? I mean, you're at Leonardo Helicopters. You guys have a wide variety of different types of helicopters besides the AW139. You have military helicopters and et cetera, et cetera. So you're and I've toured your facility. What a great facility that you guys have up there in Philadelphia. How about you? Where do you stand? Will you ever take helicopter lessons? You got to start in an R-22, but whatever. Actually, you might not have to.
I'd probably save my colleagues the expense of trying to show me even the basics and keep myself on the ground. One of the other pieces of this that I love too, especially about my company, is just the large team of people in both Philadelphia and over in our parent company in Italy, who are behind the scenes making sure that these aircraft are ready to go, that they meet the specifications, that they can perform missions, and that they're as safe as they can be. And so when you think about how and having the opportunity to work with such a great team of people who represent the entire value stream of a helicopter, from its conception and engineering to all the way till its retirement, you realize how much work goes into it and how much pride and spirit go into what we do every day. So the aviation industry is what's caught my attention and the passion behind it. As for flying, I'm probably just better behind a car, if that.
Yeah, but we're talking about aviation careers, and I would imagine, and not to put you on the spot, because we're really talking about the scholarship program, et cetera, but at Leonardo up there in Philadelphia, there has to be a lot of opportunities in a variety of different areas for young people that want to get into the industry, not necessarily to be a pilot, a helicopter pilot, but maybe to work in manufacturing, the manufacturing aspect of what you guys do, and some of the other areas. Can you speak on that at all?
Absolutely. So we have a really broad range of capabilities at our campus in Philadelphia. So it's not just piloting. We have close to over 110 engineers on staff. Most of those folks some of them are aeronautical engineers, some of them are mechanical and electrical engineers. And so people come from lots of diverse backgrounds and are able to kind of find a home in aviation. It's not just, I think, somebody who specializes in aviation their entire life who falls into here. And I think that's one of the misnomers that keeps people, not thinking about aviation as a career choice. We have production, so technicians who start on our production lines, and some who go into advanced customization and some very high-level programs in maintenance. We have people who can do machining and overhaul work, and then we have a large team of material specialists, supply chain experts, people who are in charge of sourcing all the materials and then responding to the customer's needs when they need things in the field. So, what I would say to anybody who's considering aviation or considering an industry or a career choice is look at aviation. There's a lot within there that's really fitting every single type of person. Flying is the most exciting. But like I said, if flying's not for you, as it wasn't for me, there's so many other ways to contribute to this wonderful industry. And we're always looking for great people.
Yeah, you're speaking my language on the variety there. As we kind of start to move to close this out, I wanted to, one of the things that I really like to talk with guests on the show about is their perspective and their recommendations to those who are, a kid in high school that's considering a career specific to helicopters, or they've been talking to their parents about it. So because I get parents that watch the show and they want to know what to tell their kids. So what are the next steps that you guys recommend, or what do you recommend in general for a young person that sees a helicopter and says, I think I'd like to fly that one day? How do you recommend they get started and things like that? Open to the floor.
One of the big things. Oh, sorry.
Back in the day, it used to be military, but now it's probably, it used to be 75-85% military. Now it's probably 50-50. So you could tell them to join the military, go through the military flight school, or you could say, hey, there's plenty of flight schools out there, and there's plenty of scholarships out there, and there's plenty of jobs out there, because we are definitely in need of pilots and technicians. Go ahead, Adele.
Oh no, all I was going to say is it's worth just stopping by and popping into your local flight school. I kind of wish when I was a bit younger, Sara made the comment, everybody grew up wanting to be a pilot. I didn't feel that way because it didn't even occur to me that was an option for me. I thought I was going to be a nurse or a teacher or something else. Like, it didn't even think it was in the realm of possibility until I met another girl who was doing some cherry drawing, and I was just like, oh, holy expletive. Like, I maybe could do that. And then I just became obsessed with, yeah, I'm trying to be polite. I just became obsessed with the thought, and I couldn't shake it. And then I finally just went for my first introduction flight. And, you know, everyone's kind of touched on it before. I just knew after that first half an hour flight, I was like, I can't picture myself doing anything else now. And I feel kind of sad for the younger version of myself that I didn't even think it was an option. So don't wait for somebody to see somebody who looks like you doing it. Just go, if it's something that you feel inside your heart that you just want to go test it out, just walk in that front door, even if it's intimidating and scary. Most people in flight schools are really excited just to meet anybody who's there. And we all obviously just love talking about aircraft. So there's your opener.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Liz, didn't I see something that you're like one of the only female helicopter pilots in Zimbabwe? Is that right?
Yes, actually, I was the first Zimbabwean woman to fly helicopters. And at the moment, I'm the only one that's flying civilian helicopters in Zimbabwe. We have a couple of ladies who are now in the military, but so far in the civilian field, it's just me.
What do the military pilots fly? What type of aircraft?
They fly the AB412s in the Alouettes in Zimbabwe. Okay.
Yeah. No, I was bringing that up because I'd love to hear your perspective about how you may be looking at that to get more young ladies involved in flying helicopters over there, and just in general, your perspective on that.
Okay, yes, the Zimbabwean environment obviously is very different from what I've come to experience here in the United States. In Zimbabwe, in general, women don't consider aviation as a career choice, mostly because it's very inaccessible. It's kind of very removed from the normal career choices for women in particular. But what I would say to Zimbabwean girls and ladies who want to get into aviation, I would say go for it. And if opportunities, like now with all these scholarships that are going around, that take advantage of the opportunities that are presented, and just don't let and it's so difficult to speak to this, but we have a different culture orientation from probably the Americas, where you have a culture that is all embracing to the life choices, particularly of women. But in places like Zimbabwe, and mostly in Africa, career choices for women are mostly dictated by culture, and aviation is not one of them. And for a woman or a girl in those parts of the world where aviation is not encouraged for women, it takes a very strong will and a to-do attitude towards what you want to accomplish in life, and also to just be true to your own heart and follow the things that make you happy. And for me, that was aviation. I was an accountant before this, and I left accounting to become a helicopter pilot. And I can assure you, as a pioneer of the field, it has not been easy. It's still ongoing, but just being here and being recognized and being awarded this scholarship by the Whirly-Girls together with Leonardo is a stamp for me, a kind of a stamp of approval that my choice of career and just following my heart was the right thing to do.
Helicopter credibility.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, even I'm sure back home, it just says a lot, especially to the young girls that follow me and watch me and try to be to emulate what I have done. It's a tall order to to be here, but just standing here and being the representation of what is possible, that is a big honor to me, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity to just be here, and say and speak to the possibility of being a helicopter pilot, even in countries like Zimbabwe, where you have very few women going into helicopters.
Yeah. Ladies, back here in the States, do you have anything to add to what Liz just said in terms of being a female helicopter pilot, professional pilot, working your way up in your careers?
Well, I don't think that like anything I could possibly say would be in comparison to the challenges that Elizabeth has faced. I think we're all very excited for her on this panel, and I know through our organization as well. It is challenging at some points. I can echo what she says. You have to have thick skin. You have to, play by the rules, be professional in not only your work life, but your personal life as well. You are under a microscope, and it's a huge honor to have people that are following you and looking up to you. You get to this point, somehow you just wake up one day and you're there, and you have all these, girls that are going through flight training that want to ask you for advice on how to do this and how to do that. And they're watching you, and, they want to grow up and be like you, which is just shocking. You don't know really when that happens, but it does take a lot of fortitude, and you just have to conduct yourself in the best manner possible moving forward.
Yeah. Adele or Sara, anything to add to that?
Yeah, the only thing I would just continue to say to myself, because of course there's the comment, every time you have a goal, somebody's going to tell you can't do it. So all I would say to myself is haters are going to hate, and it would make me laugh a little bit. I know it's goofy, but it helped me just kind of put into perspective. They're just putting their own insecurities onto you. And because they think that they can't do it, that means that, well, how dare you think that you can do it then, and you just can't give into that negativity. So if you're going to go for it, you just have to follow your heart and just be true to yourself. There's no other way.
I wanted to comment really quickly on your last question about how these people in high school or even middle school thinking about flying are really actually going to get into it at that point. And I think generationally, it's important to say right now that, say I graduated high school 14 years ago, and then you just went to college, right? Like that was the view. Go to college, just get through it, and then hopefully you pick something at that age that you want to do. And while that's super valuable, it's becoming so much more acceptable now to not traditionally just go to college because they said go to college. So don't just sign that loan and get that piece of paper. Now you really can go out of high school and say, I'm going into aviation. And those, there's the price, and those prices can be comparable to each other, but going into the trades and I kind of have come to equate aviation with something non-traditional like that. And that's becoming way more acceptable, I think, now.
And there's even like college degree programs too, where you can get like even associate's degree while you're also working on your ratings. So if that is, like you said, you have a lot of parents that listen to this live stream, that that can be an option as well. It just takes a little bit of research, but there's lots of programs out there where you can get the ratings and also get a degree if that is important in your family and in your background.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point that you guys bring up about education, furthering your education with college and things like that versus not. College isn't for everybody. So I think, some people they can go to maybe a 2-year technical school and do something like that. Or as you said, just go directly into flight training or go into the military and get their flight training there, as Blair mentioned, and things like that. But I think it's a really good point because and you said it perfectly. It really kind of depends on the upbringing and the family philosophy and family pressure, et cetera, and so forth. So I'm glad you brought that up. Blair, I was going to come to you First of all, I'll give you a compliment. You're probably one of the coolest helicopter pilots on the planet that I know personally. But I was wondering if you could give it from a male helicopter perspective about what these ladies are talking about and from your observations. And then, also maybe if there are things that Eastern Region Helicopter Council addresses regarding, workforce and things like that.
Right. Well, thank you for the compliment. I've never been told how cool I was, but I appreciate that. As far as the Eastern region is concerned, this is not new for the Eastern Region Helicopter Council. Almost since the onset of Eastern Region, we have lobbied our OEMs and whatnot to help out with some of the young people in scholarships, all the way from flight safety to CAE, Sikorsky, and now the largest one now is Leonardo, of course, because Leonardo is pretty much taken over the Northeast, and Phil Colin, he has been very helpful in that area. And as far as the scholarships, we're excited about moving forward. As Fallon puts out, we would like also to get Leonardo to put out a technician scholarship, and maybe Sikorsky or whatever OEM we're working with, to put out some scholarships. And it doesn't have to be a school, it can be anything. It can be, a certain grant to get them through a flight school, whether it be through an R-22 school or whatnot. And we are all for promoting the ladies and minority people in the industry, because we are starving for minorities and females. We are 95% of male. And I heard one lady explain it, that we're male, pale, frail, and stale. And I may fit a couple of those. I don't think I fit all of them, but there's many of us out there who do. So, when they're 5% and the 2% technicians, and, 5% of women in aviation are the they're the engineers and the pilots. We really need to focus in on getting those type of people and those ladies and minorities into the industry. And I mean,
Sure.
they're bright, they're beautiful, and they're completely intimidating.
Yeah. Fallon, with the Whirly-Girls International, I mean, you guys live what we're talking about. Couple of things. One is, what programs do you have, if you haven't already talked about, and do you have any events coming up or that you'll be a part of that folks should know about?
Yeah, so our board of directors is comprised of 11 women that are, in the organization, myself and Sara being 2 of them. We're all volunteers. So we all have, full-time jobs external to the organization, but this is our way of hopefully giving back. Specifically on the scholarship side, which is my wheelhouse, we run our scholarship program once a year. Applications open online mid-August, and you can just go to whirlygirls.org and apply there. They're all listed. And again, the application link will open mid-August. We try to give everybody about a month and a half to give the applications in, and then they're sent out to the judges and awarded before the end of the year, the calendar year, which is why both Adele and Elizabeth got phone calls from me on Christmas. So I tried to give a nice Christmas present to the recipients, but they're then subsequently allowed to use the scholarship for the following calendar year. So that would be 2024. In regards to events, we have a very strong presence at the annual HAI Heli Expo, which usually occurs in the February, March timeframe. Next year, it's in Anaheim. And then we try to, as an organization, participate in as many external events as well, whether that's just having 1 or 2 representatives there or having business cards, flyers, things of that nature. Because again, with it being all volunteer, we can't be everywhere at once, and nor do we have the budget to be everywhere at once. But We do have a very strong online presence. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, the whole thing there. Our media team is wonderful. And we just revamped our website last year. So that is also a great resource to get more information, and then also to get in contact with us, whether you want to become a member or you just want more information on whether it's networking, mentorship, scholarships, etc.
Yeah, as we kind of finalize things here, I wanted to ask both of you, Fallon, and you, Blair, if you guys have any advice to people applying for these scholarships. You know, I've done some programs on scholarships, and one of the common denominators is that some people kind of freeze up, if that's, I don't know if I can use that term, but they get started with the process, but they may not necessarily finish it, or things like that. What are your general thoughts about that for people that may be thinking, you know, I want to apply for this scholarship coming up, in terms of how they should go about it, what they should do?
For our organization, specifically with the Whirly-Girls, it is a relatively lengthy application process involving 2 letters of recommendation. Well, it will be 2 letters of recommendation and an essay, as well as a couple short answers. But I would recommend, you know, between now and when you're applying, or even if you apply in future years, something that we really look for is how you give back to the industry. You know, whether it's with our organization, whether it's just women in the industry, or just giving back to the industry through your volunteer hours is a really big thing for us. And seeing that the impact and that your drive to be involved and give back to other women or to other pilots that are coming up is something that's really important on our applications.
Yeah, Blair?
Yeah, we don't, it's not a competition, an essay competition or anything through ERHC. We do it at our annual meeting in September, and the OEMs and whatnot, they provide the actual scholarship. So we do it as a service to our members. So if you're interested, by all means, come out to the event.
Sure. And then Mike, do you guys have internship programs there at Leonardo?
We don't have internship programs exactly. We're doing, you know, we have partnerships with a lot of local schools and nonprofits where we'll do kind of trips and day trips and exchange speaking. But we like to partner with organizations like the Whirly-Girls who have kind of the ability to get to direct populations, and we can complement that with things like training and kind of the use of our people and facilities.
Gotcha.
Mike talked a little bit about all those different jobs just at the Leonardo facility alone. So in the month I spent there, you could say I spent an equal amount of time walking around talking to people, because I like to do that. And I think it's really important for high school students listening or something along that line, that of course everyone wants to fly and that looks like the glamorous job, but there's hundreds of jobs built into that, into every single part that goes into every single helicopter, and they're all different people and different jobs, and they're all accessible to people thinking about what they want to do, if any involvement in aviation is what they want.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Sure. I want to wrap things up here, and I always like to do what I call an around the room. I will start with you, Sara, and just any final words or thoughts about being a helicopter pilot.
Just kind of what I think has already been said. When growing up, I think it seemed way less accessible than it was when I finally decided to do it. And then once you just go for it, you go for it.
That's straightforward. Liz?
You just need to be strong, be true, and go for the things that matter to you. And if aviation or flying or whichever part that you think you want to apply yourself, do it wholeheartedly. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Adele?
One of the things that took me a while to learn is you never have to go it alone. And that's where groups like the Whirly-Girls come into play. Like I would not be where I am in my career without them, whether it's scholarships or the mentorship or just having that camaraderie, not knowing you're not alone in this. Because sometimes, especially as a woman in the industry, you do feel like you're pulling this giant rock up the hill, but it's okay to ask for a little bit of help. And from my understanding, there's you know, you think you're not going to win any of these awards, it's worth applying because a lot of the awards, they don't have that many people even putting in an application. So if you don't think it applies to you, put your name in anyway, and you never know, you might end up with a new type rating.
Absolutely. Mike, from Leonardo Helicopters perspective.
You know, from speaking on all my teammates from Leonardo, we're just really happy that we could support these three women with their career transitions into bigger aircraft and more opportunities. We feel pride in the ability to have played a small role in helping them elevate themselves, and we're praying for their success, and we feel like we're all part of their team too. So, you know, and then for anybody who's thinking about a career in aviation, again, join us. It's not off limits to anybody. We need more. We need everybody. We need more minds. We need more hands.
Yeah, well said. Fallon?
I think that kind of going back to one of your previous questions, there's a lot of research to show that, you know, children kind of in that middle school and early high school phase of their life and age is the best time to get them involved in, I would call it STEM programs, which aviation certainly falls into, as well as many of the career fields that Mike mentioned, such as engineering. So a lot of it is about exposure. You know, going out to just like your local airport, talking to your local flight school, like Adele said, or stopping by if you have a large company like Leonardo in your backyard and exposing your children at that age to this career path, and subsequently reaching out to organizations. You know, here we have the Whirly-Girls and Eastern Region Helicopter Council, but there are countless others, both locally, internationally. You can do it online, you can do it in person. There's so many different programs out there. It takes a little bit of research online, but those individuals will be able to help and mentor you at kind of any age in your life through this process to get to where you want to go.
Perfect. And Blair, I always say, take us home with the last person. So last but not least, take us home.
All right. Yeah, I would say don't overthink it. And don't, if you think that this could be something for you and it comes to mind that you could do it, don't let yourself overthink it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't listen to the naysayers, and don't take no as an answer. And for the parents out there, I would say, bring them to Heli Expo. I think there is a day 3 that you can bring your kids to work, so to speak, and expose them to the helicopter world. And this year it's in LA, so you can make a double trip out of it. Go to Heli Expo on day 3 and then go to Disney World or Disneyland or one of those things out there.
Or the beach, right?
Or the beach, right?
No, I think that's a good idea about that. Heli Expo is really a great place to get exposed to it. There's a bunch of helicopters on display, and there's any and everything that has to do with flying a helicopter there. So that's a great place to do it. And I think on their 3rd day, they cater to youth. So if it's a young person that really wants to learn some things and experience some things, that's definitely a place to go to. And that brings up also Helicopter Association International, or HAI. You mentioned that earlier in reference to James talking about some of the things that they offer and that they offer to the industry and things like that. So as someone said earlier, I think it was Fallon, that there are a number of associations all around the country and around the world that offer opportunities to get involved with the industry from all standpoints. Of course, we're talking about helicopters today. So I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be available. You all have pretty busy schedules, flying and all that kind of good stuff. I want to congratulate you ladies again for your accomplishment of getting that type rating in a very powerful and sophisticated aircraft, the AW139. And thank all of you for being here. And thanks for your support, Mike, from Leonardo Helicopters, to support what I'm doing with this show and letting more people know about the opportunities that exist. So can't thank you guys enough for being a part of this.
Thanks, Vince.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So I think I had some technical issues from being here at Exploration of Flight's hangar with regard to Wi-Fi not being steady the entire time. So if you saw that the glitches and everything, I apologize for that. There will be an audio only podcast version of this show in the next couple of days. So for anybody that wants to listen to it, there'll be that opportunity. But in the meantime, kind of wrap things up here. I hope that everybody enjoyed this conversation with these awe-inspiring helicopter pilots and Mike from Leonardo Helicopters. I just keep messing with Mike. You started it, Mike. As with every
That's
show,
all right. And Mike, I like that.
As with every show, my primary objective is to not only share insight into aviation and aerospace careers, but to expose the up-and-coming generation of aspiring young aviation professionals to a variety of possibilities and opportunities that are available to all, as we've been talking about today. Inspiring any and everyone who has ever considered or thought about pursuing any aspect of aviation and aerospace. To see more of this, you can go to my private air media video library on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can also listen audio-only podcasts, as I mentioned before, the version of that on any podcast platform that you use, such as Apple and Spotify, etc. And All Things Aviation Aerospace is a presentation of Private Air Media. If you haven't already, I'd ask that you please subscribe. And until next time, please take care, stay safe, safe flying if you're a pilot, blue skies, and all the best. Have a good one, everybody. Take